Hi friends, welcome once again. In this session of Autocad, we are going to discuss regarding fillet command. Fillet is basically used to round off the sharp edges or the corners. These are the regions of stress concentration. We want to reduce this stress concentration. That's the reason these sharp edges or the vertexes are going to be rounded off. Another important aspect is the safety of the operator. This sharp edges now may cut off operators hands. So that's the reason from safety point of view we're going to round off the sharp corners or the edges. These are the two uses of fillets. Basically fillet operation can be performed on the non-intersecting entities. These are the intersecting entities. We can also have two different entities which are non-intersecting. You can observe here entity 1 and then entity 2. So these two are non-intersecting entities. It can be performed on parallel entities also, like this. So somebody may ask a question whether fillet can be performed on non-intersecting entities, fillet can be performed on parallel entities. Also fillet is used not only to create round corners but also to create the sharp corners. This is one of the mostly asked question in the interviews. So that's the reason be careful regarding answering this question. So there is a command known as fillet rad. Fillet rad, it's going to give you information regarding the existing radius value. Now the existing radius value is 50 units, so you can change it as per your requirement. I'm going to change it to 100. So after this also, if you want to change the fillet radius, you can change it to some other value as per the requirement. Now I'll invoke the command fillet. Let us see, different options are there: polyline, radius, trim and multiple. I'm going to use the first option, radius. You must have approximate value of the radius. For that you should know the dimensions of the different lines. So I'm going to check the dimensions of this particular lines, intersection and then end point. So it's around 995. So I can provide fillet as per the requirement. You can just provide the value of fillet. Go to fillet, then go to radius. So here what I need is around 900 something is there, so I can provide something in the range of 250 or 300. It's asking for the selection of the object. Select the first entity, then select the second entity. Now fillet is generated. So there are various ways of doing that. Let us see what are those ways. It is asking for the first entity. Select the first entity. It is asking for the second entity. Either you can shift select this to generate the sharp corner. What is that sharp corner? I will do one thing. I will select this particular thing. Let us see how it's going to work. So I have selected the first entity, then I'm pressing shift and then selecting the second. You can observe here the sharp corner got generated. This is how the fillet command can be used, using shift and then second object. First select the first object, and then while selecting the second object, use the shift button, and after that select the second entity. That's how you can create the sharp corner or the vertex. So that's how round corner can be created and sharp corner can be created. Most of the interviewers are going to ask the questions particularly on this. Be careful regarding this. Go to fillet, then the other options are the polyline options, trim options. Now we'll see how exactly we can use a trim option. So there are two different options like trim mode and no trim mode. I'm going to use no trim mode initially. So let us see, no trim mode. So it is asking for the first object selection and then second object selection. You can see here the extended portion is not trimmed off from the entities. It is retained as it is. If you select trim, these things going to be chopped off. So go to trim, fillet, and then select trim. There are two different options, trim and no trim options. On the earlier case I selected no trim option. In the existing case I'm going to select trim option. So it's asking for the first entity, it is going to select the second. It's going to ask for the second entity, you select the second entity. Now the fillet got generated. You remember one thing, once after providing the value of the radius, it's going to retain the same radius for the other options also. If you want to change, you can change the radius as per the requirement. Now let us go to the other options. So basically this is a polyline. You can observe here I have used the polyline command to create this particular segment, because one of the option in fillet is that one. Go to fillet and then select P, that is polyline. It is asking for the 2D line. Select this 2D line. You can observe here whatever previous value I had given, it has taken, and the fillets are generated through the 2D entity. I have not selected individually. I have selected a particular P line, so it has taken the fillets in all the corners. This command you can make use of it actually in order to reduce the number of operations. And then let us invoke the fillet command. I can perform the fillet command on these two circular entities also. For that you should know aligned distance. Better to know the aligned distance. If you reduce the radius value, you may not get that. That's the reason. Select center and then select a center. So it's around 1089. So ensure that it is nearby to that. Something like fillet. It is asking for the different options. Now select a radius. If you give 100, it may not be possible to get the radius. If you enter it, then select the first radius, select the second radius. You can observe here this is no valid fillet with radius 100. Approximately this distance, end-to-end distance, must be provided. You can see here this. I'm going to select this quadrant and then this quadrant. At least this much distance must be given. Provide fillet, and then it is asking for the first point. Before that, provide the radius value, make it as 1000, then select the first entity and then select the second entity. You can observe here we got a fillet here. So this is how the circular entities can be connected with the fillet command. You can observe, so whatever the value I had given, that is somewhat nearby to the diagonal distance. You ensure that it is somewhat nearby to the diagonal distance. So there is another option that is known as multiple fillet option. So go to fillet, then select multiple. It is asking for the first entity. It is going to ask for the second entity. Now it is too large. The radius is too large. It is saying that it's too large. You reduce the value of the radius. So that's the reason for each and every entity better to check the dimensions before giving the value. You can observe here we got this. Again it is asking for the different entities at a stretch, because we got to know that in the earlier case it got terminated after executing it. So here it is continuous. Select other two variables, otherwise change the fillet radius to 200 and select the first entity, select the second entity. Fillet got generated here. Again you can change the variables as per the requirement. You can just select a radius, then make it 300, then select the first entity, select the second entity. So this is how you can use this command to perform the fillet operations. So now we discussed all the options here. Polyline command to generate the polyline option in case of fillet, to generate the fillet. In case of polyline, always ensure that you are going to use the polyline. You are going to draw the polyline and perform the fillet operation. Then radius, how exactly we can vary the radius to get the different fillet values. And then trim option. So using trim command, how exactly I can generate the fillet. We also saw that in this option we can generate a vertex, and the previous method also we can generate the vertex using shift selection methodology. And in case of multiple option, we can perform multiple fillets with variable value of radius. That's all for today. Thank you friends. Keep watching and subscribe to our videos. Thank you.